I didn't think that I was going to be able to see this movie last night. It was still supposed to be storming and everything, and I had a graduation to go to, and I just thought, I'll just see it tomorrow. But a group of my friends was going after the graduation, so we decided to all go together, and it was one of those really late night movies, which I don't usually like to do, but I was so excited to see this movie that I went ahead and went, and I got home at like 2:30 last night, and I tried to do a review then, but it didn't really work out. I was kind of delirious. Here's a little bit of that. Hey guys, it's me, your pal El Matador. I just got home from the theater. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm exhausted. I just have to say that this movie is excellent. Oh. So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. A lot of the people that have seen it, it's kind of a mixed bag for them. And I will agree that it does have some problems. Some things are kind of rushed. Some of the plots don't really get to the point that I think that they need to be. But ultimately, I think that this is a really great X-Men movie. I think every character gets their moment to shine. And that's one of the things that I was really worried about coming off of the coattails of Civil War, where they give so much attention to each of their characters. I really love this movie. I loved all of the new characters. I loved all of the old characters that we've come to know and love. James McAvoy does wonderful as Professor X yet again. Michael Fassbender does amazing as Magneto. Because of the stuff that happens to him in this movie, it's almost a Magneto movie. Every time he's on screen, you're about to get run over by the feels train. He has a really great character arc. He was very intriguing. He was honestly probably one of the greatest parts of this movie. To have that many characters and be the standout, I think is quite an accomplishment. James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender have such great chemistry. In Civil War, I kind of talked about how you can really see both sides of the argument. Definitely can see that with Professor X and Magneto. You're just kind of left there in the audience to pick a side. And it's hard to do because both sides have a lot of great points. They both have their reason for believing what they do and the way that they do things. I guess technically I kind of fall more with Professor X because I try to believe the best in people, but at the same time, I can understand why Magneto wouldn't. It seems like Magneto always gets the raw end of the deal. If something bad's going to happen, it's going to be Magneto. And I will say a lot of that is probably well deserved. In this movie, it's mentioned several times, he's a terrorist because of what happened at the end of Days of Future Past. And Mystique is known as a hero because of what happened. She was the one that stopped him. I really think it was more Professor X than Mystique, but, whatever. Jennifer Lawrence does amazing as Mystique. Nicholas Hoult does amazing as Beast. I know that this isn't an X-Men shirt, but I went to Walmart trying to find another X-Men shirt. They don't have any, so this was what I came up with. So for me, it's an X-Men shirt. Sophie Turner was a very great Jean Grey. I always liked Famke Janssen. I had kind of a soft spot for her, so when somebody else was coming in to do this part, I was kind of like, I don't know about... No, she killed it. I totally bought that this was young Jean Grey. The way that she uses her powers, internally conflicted about her powers, and even kind of scared of it, fantastic. I also thought Ty Sheridan did a really good job as Cyclops. James Marsden, he was alright. He was kind of a jerk, and so I didn't like that, but this guy, he did a fantastic job as Cyclops. This was more like the Cyclops that I knew growing up as a kid. I was really happy to see him, and he gets a lot of time to shine in this movie. You got Cody Smith McPhee playing Nightcrawler. He was alright. The characterization of Nightcrawler was really well done. Powers, his abilities, the way that he moved. He was very acrobatic. German accent was really well done. So you're probably thinking like, why is he just okay then? It's completely superficial. I just didn't like the whole emo look that he was sporting. That's really it. So you've also got these 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They are all very well done. You get to see a little part of each of their story, and then they're brought into this bigger world, this bigger picture. Let's talk about Oscar Isaacs as Apocalypse. He does amazing at this. When I heard that he was the villain, I was like, not Poe Dameron. But I gotta say, he does a really good job. He's really menacing. He's got that really cold, hard stare, these eyes, and you feel like you're looking at a shark or something. Not the tallest guy, but man, if he doesn't have this commanding presence, though, that just totally makes up for that. The introduction to him is kind of slow. He has a couple of stinker lines. Once his plan is made more clear, there's a lot invested in the X-Men being able to stop him. Humankind as we know it is going to be extinct. It is literally going to be the apocalypse. His horsemen are Angel, Psylocke, Storm, and Magneto. That's a pretty deadly combination. For each one of his horsemen, he strengthens their power. Magneto, who has already lifted like submarines out of the water, who's moved satellite dishes. You can imagine him as more powerful. Yeah, I really loved this movie. Trying to decide if it's all hype, like I'm coming off of a visual high from watching this movie, but I really enjoyed it, and I don't really understand why a lot of people didn't. Very, very entertaining. If you're a fan of X-Men, I think that you will really love this movie, particularly how it ends, the message behind how they overcome Apocalypse. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's really hard to talk in depth about this movie without giving away details. I'm going to do a spoiler review on this because I just want to talk about these things, talk about some of the things that I loved. But yeah, guys, I really enjoyed this movie. The action was there. The story was there. Is it a perfect movie? No. Is there such thing as a perfect movie? No. There's a couple of scenes that if you think about it too hard, it's going to fall apart. Overall, it rocked me. It was a late movie. Like, we didn't get out of the theater until about almost 1 o'clock, which I usually don't do that. I like to be able to see it during the day so that I can fully appreciate it and I'm fully awake and I'm not focused on being tired. But this movie kept me awake. It was really good. I was on the edge of my seat for most of the second half of the movie. That's a good time. It's probably one of the most action-packed finales of an X-Men movie that I've seen. Man, it's hard to talk about this movie without talking about the spoilers. At the end of the day, I think that I am going to give this movie an A-. Maybe high B, but I think if you give it that, then you're just looking for things to be upset about. If you look for problems, you're going to find it. That's not just with movies. That's some free life advice for all of us. Write that down. Have you seen the movie? Are you excited to see the movie? Did you like it? Did you hate it? If you've been a longtime fan of the X-Men movies like I have, I don't see how you can dislike this movie. There's so much to like. I'm really having a hard time deciding if I like this more than Days of Future Past. I think Days of Future Past's story was a little bit more well-rounded. Probably going to have to see it and Days of Future Past again a couple more times to decide which one's my favorite. Bryan Singer, thank you for making X-Men movies. The few that you haven't made have been pretty terrible. They're pretty hard to like. I've tried to like them. The Last Stand, there's a lot of good things in that movie, but overall, the bad outweighs the good, I think. Wolverine Origin, again, a lot of things, but overall, the bad outweighs the good. The Wolverine, I really loved Hugh Jackman as the character, but the things that happened to him in that movie just ultimately don't really makes sense. It's kind of a forgettable movie, but man, I'm so glad that Bryan Singer is back doing X-Men where he belongs. So Bryan Singer, I salute you. Very entertaining movie overall. Highly recommend it. If you're an X-Men fan, go see this movie. You will enjoy it. How would you like to see me review all of the X-Men movies? So maybe do like a chronological thing. Maybe give some pointers on what I would do differently in some of them. In the comments, I want to know what your favorite X-Men movie is and your least favorite. Peace out.